What is going on, people? I am back with another valve clearance check on my 2024 KTM 500 EXC-F. Real quick, let's go over all the important variables that we need to know before we start this. Number one, the manual states the valve clearances range is applicable to temperatures of 20 degrees Celsius or 68 degrees Fahrenheit. Right now, my ambient temperature is about 60 degrees Fahrenheit, which is about 40 degrees cooler than the first time I checked it, which was at 100 degrees Fahrenheit. So just keep that in mind as we get our numbers moving forward. Let's go ahead and see what the distance and operating hours are on this machine right now. The bike currently has 109.3 hours, and there are 3,679 miles on the odometer. Let's go ahead and start with the intake valves on the timing chain side. .10 millimeter is actually pretty snug in there. Let's go ahead and try the 1.3. Last time this was determined to be between 0.10 and 0.13. .13 millimeter is not going in there. Intake valve, spark plug side. .10 is going in there without too much trouble. There is contact. 0.13 coming up. And that is pretty snug. Let's see if it goes in. It's quite snug, but it's in, but it's quite snug. So that's definitely no more than 0.13 millimeter, which is what it was at last time. So no change. Same with the other side, no real change. Let's move on to the exhaust side. Exhaust valve, timing chain side. Got the 0.10. That is in there with light contact, not too much trouble. Let's move up to the 0.13. That is quite snug. Let's see if it goes in. 0.13 is in there all the way through. Quite snug. It's definitely not more than 0.13. Let's move on to the spark plug side. Oh, I should mention that this one has stayed the same, no change. That is the timing chain side, no change. 0.10. Got room. Let's move up. Get the 0.13. That is in there. We've got contact with either side. Let's go ahead and move up to the 0.15. That is snug. Let's see if we get it in there. 0.15 is in there, has gone all the way through. I would say that is no more than 0.15, which is pretty much about the same as last time. What I'm noticing on this check is things are a little bit more snug, but as I mentioned in the beginning, we are about 40 degrees Fahrenheit cooler. So that will have an effect on these changes. So my kind of takeaway from this is there's basically no change from the valve clearances in check number 1 at 1,800 miles. Let's go ahead and move over to the spreadsheet and look at those numbers broke down there. All right, so here are the numbers on the spreadsheet. You can see I've got the first valve clearance check and the second valve clearance check listed here. There hasn't been any significant change. The biggest difference between these two, aside from mileage and hours, is actually the temperature. It was 40 degrees Fahrenheit less when I checked the valve clearance on these today. And as you can see on the spreadsheet here, as far as what I have input as final numbers, the only change that you can see is on the exhaust valve spark plug side is 0.15 millimeter instead of being between 0.15 and 0.18. When I checked it in June, there was some variation there between 0.02 millimeters. Whereas when I checked it today and it was colder outside, it was definitely no larger than 0.15 millimeter. Now, the only reason I'm pointing that out and taking the time to say all this is because after doing it and after charting all these numbers down, I'm pretty confident that the biggest change here, again, was temperature. We're just not seeing a big enough swing to attribute it to wear and tear or anything like that. So we'll continue to track it, as I go. But for now, that's my final takeaway from this, is that temperature, ambient temperature, was the biggest difference between 1,800 miles and 3,600 miles. So anyways, I hope you guys find this helpful, and you know what to do. Subscribe to the channel, like the video, share it with anybody else that would find it helpful, and I will see you in the next one.